Season 2 has launched. It's going to be exciting. We're doing all the new stuff, but we're looking forward a little bit, right? Midnight is on the horizon. We're getting a bunch of stuff about Midnight this year, and we got new info about Midnight's revamp. We already know Silvermoon is getting rebuilt from the ground up. I personally think it's going to be the hub city, the cross-faction hub city for Midnight expansion. We'll see if that becomes true, but the Midnight revamp just got even bigger. Undercity, Gilneas, and more. Let's see what Doran, the Teller of 1,000 Truths, has to say about how big this revamp might be.
So you all know Midnight is bringing bigger and revamped Qual'thalas and Silvermoon, but just a few days back from an official interview, Blizzard heavily hinted that it will be much more than this, and we could be seeing some classic zones in the surrounding area getting the same treatment. All the North and Eastern Kingdom zones are highly relevant to the World Soul Saga. Stromgarde has been fully rebuilt, is just waiting to be added to the game as an actual city. Same can be said for a brand new Undercity that should be a legit city, not a sewer, as well as...
Look at Kill in chat. I just found you on YouTube the other day. I love your reactions. I have a very similar lookout to you on the game. Keep up the good content. Fantastic. What a great guy. Thank you, man. Welcome in.
Plaguelands are mostly restored in the lore, and the place where Dalaran was could once again be highly relevant. So, really, it doesn't...
Look, guys, I'm not going to lie. If they rebuild Dalaran in its full glory, I'm talking about full-on Dalaran brought back down into the crater and rebuilt out completely, because real-life Dalaran, I'm talking about Dalaran that was sitting on the ground, is way bigger than the little floating rock that we've seen in the game. If they rebuild Dalaran one day on the ground, I'm going to need to wear some, what's it called, full-on adult diapers, because I will not be able to stop myself from splooging every time I go in this place. I'm just letting you know ahead of time.
So, really, it doesn't seem like Midnight will just be an Elf Silvermoon expansion, but so much more than this. So, what is everything we know, and what is the evidence? Playing WoW on your phone is
we got a little ad.
Awesome, this video is sponsored. You can check in on your characters, do the simple tasks that you just don't want to sit at a computer for.
Play WoW on your phone.
Allows you to control your phone completely free. Awesome is incredibly easy to use. Check out my link in the description, download the PC app and the phone app, and just connect them. The free version itself is amazing. You can control your desktop, transfer files, but the real deal is the game version.
There it is.
Custom keyboards for various games other than just WoW, and you can enjoy AFK gaming at any time, anywhere with game sound. Make sure to use my code Doran to get 7 days completely.
By the way, let this ad keep going here. This is what somebody rendered out what Dalaran could look like if it was brought back down to the ground. Amazing, right? I mean, I would love it.
You've been following my channel for some time, you might
I
have
wish.
seen that I've been talking about this
wish.
pretty much since the day Midnight was announced, and I mentioned it over a dozen times. They're giving multiple hints, not just from interviews, but also over the past few years from the various sources, that the revamp of Midnight is not going to just be about Qual'thalas. Now, this part is 100% confirmed, and that is that Qual'thalas itself is getting enlarged. We're not talking about updated Silvermoon assets, some forest...
By the way, Silvermoon is not just getting updated. Blizzard has talked about this. It's not just, oh, we're making high-res bookshelves and shit like that. They're rebuilding it completely. If you don't know this, you can't fly still in Silvermoon because it never got the Cataclysm update. Silvermoon is still literally sitting as it was back in Burning Crusade, which is sad because it's one of the most beautiful assets in the game. I've always said this. Even though I'm not a Blood Elf enjoyer, I play Human, but I always thought Silvermoon looked amazing. So this is a complete rebuild. It's going to look amazing. It's probably going to be bigger. We're probably going to see the Death Scar come back, get away. We're going to see the full gates of Silvermoon, rebuilt and everything. It's going to be amazing. I really can't wait.
It's some forest updates. We're talking about fully updated and completely rebuilt Qual'thalas. I'm not even sure a revamp is even the right word, as we're talking about an entire new area from scratch. We're talking about those destroyed parts of Silvermoon being fixed, which I really think is where they will add new neighborhoods for player housing, some changes to the Death Scars, some parts of Silvermoon enlarged, but also big updates to the Amani parts of Qual'thalas and all the various zones. Also, most of the Scourge destroyed areas that were...
By the way, the potential for Amani trolls to rejoin the Horde maybe or something, I think that would be amazing. I would love to see it. Amani troll lore is very much tied to High Elf lore back in the day, which is now basically the Blood Elves, right? And we're getting a full-on elf expansion. And I don't think you can talk elves without talking about the Amani trolls and the wars that happen between the High Elves and the Amani trolls. So hopefully we get some new up-res version of Amani trolls maybe, and then they become playable. Just say it. Could happen.
All the various zones. Also, most of the Scourge destroyed
we have a realm to destroy.
Sure. Thank you for the follow. Welcome to our Scourge.
Areas that were around from TBC have been fully fixed now. The last Scourge invasion happened at the end of Shadowlands, and then it was fixed after that. Now, of course, none of this is really news if you've been following the storyline, but I've been talking about how this revamp is not just going to be Qual'thalas and how very likely we're going to get this entire part of the Upper Eastern Kingdoms updated pretty much from this exact line.
I've seen this same theory before after actually this announcement happened, and it's looking more and more likely actually that this is in fact what's going to happen is Blizzard's going to up-res the entire upper half of the Eastern Kingdoms.
From this exact line. Maybe not every zone will be in great detail or as important as Silvermoon, but it will all be related and updated
Would be
at
awesome.
least to some extent. There is so much evidence, but the most recent one is literally from just 3 days ago from an official Blizzard interview from an event they did where they told us that we will see some areas updated that we haven't seen in 20 years.
Nice.
Keep in mind, Midnight is getting announced in just a few months from now.
Damn, man, this summer, guys. I mean, we're literally we're already in 11.1. Right, 11.1.5 is now like almost PTR ready. It is already on the Delve. It's already not the Delve, the Dev page, right? So it's already been uploaded. It's playable for the devs. It's going to be on the PTR very soon. I mean, we're talking about a couple months away, guys. End of the summer, we're getting the Midnight launch. That's freaking exciting.
This summer, which is pretty much 20 years since the game was released. The Qual'thalas content that was confirmed to be revamped only came out in 2007, which is 18 years from now.
Damn,
You
that's
can
a
of course
long time
pass this
ago.
off as just wording or them rounding up the number. I really don't think this is the case, and I've been talking about these revamps for a whole bunch of reasons because they have been hinting at this hard for quite a while now. First of all, look at the regular expansions. In most cases, Blizzard released 4 to 6 zones per expansion, and these are almost always new zones or a whole new planet. This expansion is a revamp type expansion. They already got all the concepts and what it should look like. They just got updated, which means there must be more going on for Midnight behind the scenes. They don't have to come up.
I see what he's getting at here. He's saying that like for an expansion to not get a new continent or anything, we're going to have more than just, more than just Silvermoon to play with that expansion. And most likely we're going to just be dealing with the upper part of Eastern Kingdoms. That'll be like the new island for this expansion, which I'm happy about because I don't think every damn expansion needs a new, we don't need a World of Island craft, okay? It's World of Warcraft. Let's keep the world involved here. So I'm fine with Eastern Kingdoms getting a revamp and that becomes like the new zone essentially for the entire expansion. And revamping all those zones would create a lot of cool new stuff to do for sure, and re-seeing all these zones in their full revamped glory would be awesome.
With new model ideas, new
Islands are part of the
styles,
world
new
too,
race.
yeah, but we don't need a fucking new island. We discover a new island every time a patch comes out. Also, is this guy not wearing pants? Good question. Needs an answer.
There's new storylines and such. The Qual'thalas bit is going to be super easy to implement, especially seeing the fact that they already built a lot of the Blood Elven assets. Last time we got a revamp expansion, they updated like 80% of Azeroth back in Cataclysm with so many completely revamped zones. So just from a practical standpoint and budget side of things, there really is a big chance we're getting this entire part updated. Keep in
Awesome.
mind, Qual'thalas is literally only 2 zones, Eversong Woods and Ghostlands, with that little island of the coast called Qual'thalas, but it is really...
By the way, could you imagine Eversong Woods?
Let us lay waste to this realm.
Sure, thank you for the sub on YouTube. I appreciate that. Welcome to our Scourge. Could you imagine Eversong Woods fully revamped with that fucking violin music playing in the background? Oh my god. The Blood Elf music is one of my favorite soundtracks in the game. Now, right now, I think the Goblin music's cool for what it is. Jazzy, it's fun. But, like, if I'm talking about my aesthetic, that violin music playing in the background, oh my god, it is so good. And I can imagine it with up-res trees, the orange leaves falling around me as I quest around. Damn, it would be so good. Oh, I hope they do this. I really do. I would love this shit.
2 major zones and 1 smaller one. Now, Blizzards could split it up with Yamani to make it 4, but really, this isn't enough
I'm
for
seeing
full
everything.
expansion content. It is highly, highly unlikely that Qual'thalas is all that we will get in Midnight. When you look at the zones below, despite being larger in numbers, they really are just lands of former Lordaeron plus the destroyed areas of the Plaguelands, Gilneas, and the Arathi zones. When you put it in simple terms,
Right, this is
really,
the Arathi zone is already updated too. Arathi Basin, that's already updated, so they don't got to do much there.
Can
So when you put it in
always
simple
use
terms,
another
Coming in with the
Death
sub too, Prime, and thank you so much. Death Knight of our Scourge, man. Jur's all in today. Thank you, man.
really, we got 3 key areas. What I find so interesting is that literally every zone that I just mentioned in this area has received recent updates.
Yeah, it's already
and all
updated.
of them are highly relevant to the current storyline of the World Soul Saga, especially Midnight.
True.
And at least 3 have been essentially in the queue for a revamp for the past 5 to 10 years. We just needed the right opportunity for Blizzard to implement this change, which could literally be happening right now. Let's start with the oldest in question, the Arathi Highlands in Stromgarde. First,
Right.
this zone literally got completely updated in BFA with brand new assets, but it was never implemented in the actual zone. Then the
Right, and what would be interesting about the Arathi Highlands and the whole, old Arathi Empire and stuff like that is we know right now we're dealing with that shit already in this expansion, right? Because we have the Arathi Kingdom, the Lord of the Light, or whatever they call him, the Light Emperor, sitting on the other side of Azeroth. Whatever that lore is, that could play out. Who knows? At the end of this expansion, not the end of the World Soul Saga or beyond, that could be a whole new thing. That could be like the WoW 2 revamp that we see, where we go to the other side of Azeroth eventually. They could play off that lore a little bit here in the Arathi Highlands, because you're talking about the Arathi Empire that we know, right? The Arathi that we know from back in the ancient days of the human empire only having the Arathi Kingdom. Could be some really cool new lore to play out here. A bunch of new quests to do here for sure. They revamped this whole area. We haven't spent a lot of time here, so could be fun to do for sure.
wrapped it up, we were told that Stromgarde is now a fully fledged Alliance city. It just needs to literally be implemented in the game. But
Thanks
it's
for the
fully
prime,
active, and plus, in the new instance version, it was fully rebuilt, so they got all the new assets already. Then, literally a month or two back from this video, we got a brand new story talking about the Arathi Highlands and the tensions going on there, despite the fact that this literally has nothing to do with the war within. Then on top of that, you all know the Light Emperor, the new Arathi Empire we just learned about, that considers themselves the true Arathi Empire that never shattered. Them being a light army and the actual army of the light coming in Midnight being confirmed is definitely yet another point on why this is
good
getting
reasons.
updated. However, there is so much more going on there. So, the oldest zone that only received an update in Cataclysm, but yeah, it's been 15 years since then, and it is just waiting to get...
Damn, man, the fact that Cataclysm's 15 years ago, that shit's crazy to me. I think about it I'm like, where have the years gone? How was Cataclysm 15 years ago? That's old. Like, somebody the other day commented when I talked about the video where they're going to revamp Orgrimmar a little bit for player housing and stuff like that. They were like, Orgrimmar's already been revamped, Sam. You don't know what the fuck you're talking about. And someone commented on it saying, dude, that was 15 years ago. I think a lot has changed since then. They can revamp it again. And it blew my mind when he said, I was like, what the hell? He's right. Cataclysm was 15 years ago. How about classic WoW, the Crusader one? I'm not sure what you're talking about, Ty. How can they be the true Arathi Empire?
Super real right now. Also, Sam is the master scammer and is the false pug lord.
All true comments. All true comments. How can they be the true Arathi Empire if they cowered underground? Cowering? I mean, the Arathi Empire, they've fallen apart here and there. You got to remember, all the human kingdoms that currently exist, Stormwind and all that, they are branches of the Arathi Empire. So they're not cowering by any means. They just kind of branched apart, right? The Arathi Empire set off into its own Gilneas, Stormwind, Lordaeron. They're all branches of the Arathi. So at the end of the day, they didn't really cower away. They just kind of split up. That's what happened.
Get updated again are the Plaguelands. Initially, Plaguelands were the most destroyed areas of Lordaeron by the Scourge, and then there was a significant paladin effort to fix this, and in Cataclysm we got like half the zones being terrible, the other being mostly fixed with a lot of rebuilding efforts. However, lore-wise, so much
Let
happened
us
since
lay
then.
waste to this realm.
Loki Beast, thank you for the follow. Welcome to our Scourge.
And as far as we know, lore-wise, most of these areas are actually fixed and livable. There is still some Scourge presence, but it is very limited, so I'm talking about the Lightscope Chapel being updated and
Interesting.
bigger, something going on with the ruins of Stratholme.
God, Stratholme. If they, I wish they would create a Stratholme raid, personally. I love the culling of Stratholme. Still one of my favorite dungeons ever put in the game because of the lore of it all. It's so damn good. I think they should create a Stratholme raid of some sort, right, to get us ready for the whole Northrend expansion, which is going to be the last Titan. So I feel like playing off the Scourge, what's going on with the Scourge right now, who's controlling them, all that shit, we could get a little bit of that at Midnight with these revamped zones. That'll lead us into the whole Northrend, going back last Titan expansion into Northrend, right? So that, I mean, that's perfect. That's perfect. It'll lead that's another good reason why these revamps are probably going to happen.
Likely not becoming a new city,
Winter
but
Grass
maybe
revamp?
finally
Oh,
being
God, I
cleansed.
wish.
We're also talking about all
I
the
wish.
outskirts and the heartland. Why this is relevant
That's
is
right, Acid,
due
welcome
to
in.
the recent Scarlet Crusade attack, and they control these lands for a while, and the potential return of the new undiscovered Arathi Emperor that could potentially be allied to them. Also, these are Paladin and Light lands. The Light army is literally coming to Qual'thalas to battle the Void
That's
Invasion.
true, another good
Midnight
reason.
Blizzard told us this. These could be their staging grounds to regroup their forces. But this is really just the start of things. You all know the questline that happened a year or two back with Undercity and what they have been setting up. Undercity was attacked by the Scarlets, the city was reclaimed or restored. This is
right.
a really strange kind of a limbo that is currently going on. I mean, initially the Forsaken were these refugees living in the sewers of the capital of former Lordaeron. Then after that, Sylvanas Plague.
If he's hinting at a rebuilt Lordaeron, I will not be able to contain myself. I'm telling you guys right now. I talked about rebuilt Silvermoon and what that would do for me. A rebuilt Lordaeron, oh, that's the end game. Okay, that's the end game. If they ever rebuild Lordaeron, I'm talking about above ground Lordaeron. Oh man, I'll be done. I can ascend. My spirit can leave my body. That's my final ask in this game. Forever, I have wanted to walk the grounds of Lordaeron, walk the same path that Arthas did as he returned to the kingdom with the rose petals falling and everything. I wish we got a rebuilt Lordaeron. To me, that's the ultimate end game.
And in BFA, the city literally got updated assets,
Who will lead
but
the run
it
to
was plagued
Scourge?
immediately. Then in the Shadowlands, we got a questline where the city was cleansed and it was once again inhabitable. Since then, the Forsaken have been living in like a glorified...
My God, Callie Amenethil's model is just... It's good. It's good.
living in like a glorified
I'll say.
makeshift camp, and with the big storyline where they proclaim themselves to be the descendants of actual Lordaeron, there is a very high likelihood that we are getting a brand new Undercity, and the big point here is that it shouldn't really be an Undercity.
I don't want it to be
but
Undercity.
just a regular city. The entire lore was that the Forsaken are the true descendants of Lordaeron and not the Forsaken, really, that they previously were, just refugees without a purpose or a place in the world. They even got some new emblems, so really, the Forsaken might finally get rid of that emo, Sylvanas, what boy
They
did
should.
there in this cursed ordeal, and actually become Lordaeron, and this could be a big part of the update.
Not only that, I think what would be really cool for the undead and their story to continue and everything else, a really simple thing. Rebuild Lordaeron and give the ability to have upright undead. I personally think that'd be really cool. You know, should be more prideful, you know, stand up straight again, be able to walk the lands of Lordaeron and everything once again. I just think upright undead would be a really cool add to the game.
The update. Another big deal that happened in Dragonflight is the entire reconquest of Gilneas, which we've been talking about for a good decade, and the questline itself was pretty underwhelming. Random Scarlet invasion, the Forsaken retreated, and the Gilneans are back in their home and apparently building, but nothing was really added or changed or updated visually. This is why I think that Dragonflight Gilneas questline was really just a setup for the big storyline.
By the way, this questline was so short. It was like a little shart in the wind, basically nothing. I think this is an unfinished story. For sure. We're going to get more Gilneas lore, probably in Midnight. But there's no way they were done with Gilneas. This was just like a preempt to something else that's coming down the line.
Will be happening in Midnight, where this place will become highly relevant. Undercity, Gilneas, and Silvermoon could also be super relevant with the upcoming player housing in Silvermoon. As you may know, player housing is coming
Should
prior
expand,
to the actual
yeah.
Midnight release, and for the start, it will just be settled around Orgrimmar and Stormwind with these neighborhoods, but they heavily hinted that it will get expanded, and all these cities should...
I would expect the expansion of player housing to really go to Silvermoon first. If they're going to do adds to it, which they confirmed they are, I would expect Silvermoon to be the next one because that, you know, Blood Elves are the most played race in the game. It's certainly, this aesthetic is certainly going to be one that most people want. It's going to be a fan favorite. So surely, beyond Orgrimmar and Stormwind, I would expect Silvermoon to get the next player housing hub.
These should be, you know, the next
Plus, it's
cities
getting updated,
for
so, I
this
mean, that makes sense,
expansion
too.
in the next expansion. Lastly, there is another very relevant
Undercity
location
probably,
that
too.
literally no one is talking about in the community.
This
and
is
that
it.
The place
Look at this picture. Look at this picture. He's showing it here. This is the art, right? This is the art from back in the day, back in, I think it's Warcraft 3, before it was destroyed by what's his name from the Burning Legion? Not Sargeras. Goddamn, what was he? One of his underlings. I can't remember which one it was. Not Kill Jaden, the other one. Archimonde. Yes, Archimonde. Archimonde destroyed him. But this is what it looked like, right? So the floating version of Dalaran that we've seen before is just this. That's all it is. These two outer rings only existed on the grounded version of Dalaran, which is why I said if they rebuilt Dalaran on the ground, it would be much better than anything we've seen before in terms of a magical city. that exists, and wow.
No one is talking about in the community, and that is the place where Dalaran was for thousands of years. You may remember, Dalaran
I would
was
love
an
to see a
actual
grounded
human kingdom
Dalaran.
for thousands of years. This is that giant crater that is just completely
Yep.
stuck in time. I mean, recently, Dalaran has been super relevant since it was destroyed, and then there was
Pulverized.
some hidden door quest lines and some talks that they don't plan to rebuild it.
Dalaran
but
is a
that
phoenix.
might just be in the recent flying form. It is possible that they could actually work on a regular city, and they could bring it back to its former glory
I
as
wish.
the Kingdom of Dalaran. Additionally, you must have also heard about the confirmed foundation of an official Draenei capital on Azeroth, the first ever, and no
Yeah, I
location
remember
was
this.
mentioned yet, and it could literally happen in a place like this. I mean, I could potentially see it happening where the original Dalaran was, as right now it is a highly magically potent abandoned plot of land that should
Maybe.
be a lot safer than it was back in Classic. So overall, based on the recent interview, we really could be seeing some really exciting new features at Midnight, and it really does appear that it will be much more than just Qual'thalas, Silvermoon, and a Blood Elf expansion that is the starting team. We could be talking about the Yamani Trolls, former Lordaeron, Undercity,
awesome.
Gilneas, the Light Army, remnants of the Scourge, and really all this is old WoW that Chris Metzen talked about that we are returning to in this second part of the World Soul Saga. Thanks for watching. Check out my video on why
Amazing
Midnight will
stuff.
be the craziest expansion yet by clicking on the screen, and subscribe to my Raid channel by clicking on the screen as well. See you next time.
Look, I mean, a lot of this stuff people say, oh, speculation, this is all speculation. No, Blizzard has said in interviews multiple times, Ian Hazzikostas and others out there have talked about, yes, the rebuild of Silvermoon and how it could go beyond that and everything else that's coming in the Midnight expansion. We know that the northern part of the Eastern Kingdoms is going to be the relevant part for that expansion. I don't think we're just going back to those zones and they're going to leave them how they are currently, because some of them are frozen back in Cataclysm days. So, revamps are coming. That is confirmed. How big the revamps are going to be? Well, based on the storyline and everything else, probably pretty big. So even though this video might seem speculative, it's another, Doran video. Doran, after all, the teller of truths. I think he's telling the truth here. We're going to see some big revamps coming in Midnight. Nice video.